What if the grocery store shelves looked like it did during the Great Depression? Limited food, rising prices, and families just struggling to get basic necessities. Now, imagine this. Instead of depending on the store, you can step outside and grow your own food. So today we're talking about why gardening isn't just a hobby anymore. It's a survival skill. Welcome back to the Modest Prepper, where we make your halal pantry easy. Now, preparedness isn't just about stocking up. It's about learning skills that can sustain you for a long time. And one of the most powerful skills you can develop right now is gardening. So let's get into it. So why gardening matters during a time of shortage. Now, you see right now with this going back and forth with Iran, and one of the ways that Iran is beneficial to us is the elements they use goes into fertilizer. So if fertilizer goes up, that means farmers' costs go up, and that means the bill at the grocery store goes up. And so we have to learn how to tap into things that help us help ourselves, because we're realizing now that we can't depend on the government. We can't depend on the grocery store. Sometimes we can't even depend on any financial assistance that you get because everything is so unstable. So why does this matter? Now, during the Great Depression, many families survived because they grew their own food. And if you look at history, they had something called the Victory Gardens, where their backyards became food sources. Communities, they became support systems for one another. People didn't wait to ask for help. They became resourceful. And that's the mindset we need today. Now, to get into part 2. Resourcefulness, that's the real skill. Gardening isn't just about planting seeds. It's about becoming resourceful. So that means reusing containers instead of buying pots, composting scraps instead of wasting them, and saving seeds from your harvest. Now, saving the seeds can be a little timely, but it will be well worth it because the seed is your food. And we have to learn how to stretch what we have. Tap into those leftovers. I know sometimes we're in a society where we have the luxury of not having to have leftovers. If you don't want it, you can just make something else, or you just go to the store, or you just buy something and go to a restaurant. But in the future, that may not be an option. So being resourceful, it turns limited supplies into sustainable systems. Because in a real shortage, you won't have unlimited access to tools, fertilizer, or store-bought solutions. So if you can, start buying that stuff now. Get a little extra bit of fertilizer. Get some tools you have. And even if you don't know, I'm not saying you have to be a master gardener, but start now and trying to learn. Look at these YouTube videos they have on gardening and just try. Just start. So that way you're not growing in a panic because you have to and then you don't know what you're doing. But you start now, so that way in time you're getting better and better and better. And that way when you have to garden, you'll already be somewhat good, or you may even be a master gardener. But you're using the tools that you have now, so that way it won't be as hard in the future. Now, another part 3. Knowing your growing zone. Now, that is so important. I have learned that lesson personally. When I started to grow, and I'm not a master gardener by any means, but when I started, I was just trying to grow anything. I was just putting anything in there trying to see if it stick because I didn't really know. But you learn as you grow. And I had to learn my own growing zone. So that tells you, when you know your own growing zone, when you look it up, it tells you what crops is best for your area. It tells you when to plant them, how long your growing season lasts, if you plant at the wrong time, or crops that just don't thrive in your climate. If you don't know it, then you'll struggle. So preparedness also means learning this before you need it. And if you need to know your own growing zone, of course everyone does, you can go to the USDA site and it will show you the plant hardiness zone map. So you can look at that map and you can tell what your zoning area is, so that way you know what to grow and when to grow. Section 4. This is a simple but powerful rule. Grow what you eat and eat what you grow, because there's no point of growing foods that your family won't use. So focus on things that you have in your house that you know your family loves. Staple vegetables, herbs that you already cook with, high yield crops like beans, tomatoes, and leafy greens. And this makes your garden practical, not just aesthetic. And some people may say, well, I'm just going to grow whatever and my family just has to eat it. But wouldn't it be nice to have things on hand that your family already eats to kind of keep them in a routine? Because that helps with the quality of life. So that way, even though food will be at a shortage, you're still eating somewhat normally as far as eating what your family already eats and already intakes. So then it's not as bad and you can get to maintain somewhat a good quality of life, even in times of famine. So section 5, fertilizer shortages and global tension. So we talked about what was going on a little earlier and about how fertilizer is so important. But here's something many people don't think about. Modern agriculture depends heavily on fertilizer. And fertilizer production is tied to global supply chains. So during periods of geopolitical tension, especially involving energy producing regions, fertilizer costs can rise or become harder to access. And then when that happens, the crop yields is going to drop, the food prices is going to increase, and then shortage follows. And then you'll see it at the grocery store, and then it will be high. Imagine going to get some bread, and you may get wheat bread and you may say it's only $4.50 now. Imagine going to the store tomorrow and that cost has now doubled. So we just want to put ourselves in that mindset. It's better to be safe than sorry. So you may want to struggle to grow food when it matters the most. So start struggling now so that way in time you'll get better and better. And that's why learning natural methods like composting and soil building is so important. So that means when you have your food, your fruits and your vegetables, and before you throw that banana skin away, before you throw that old salad away that's been sitting in your fridge so long because you promised yourself you're going to eat the salad, it goes bad. I'm speaking to myself, but I digress. So before you throw all that away, start learning how to compost and make the soil yourself. So that way it's useful to you. It's not just waste. It has another value. So that way when you have your old fruits and vegetables that may have gone bad or you eating it and you have stuff left over, before you throw it in the trash, before your children throw it in the trash, try to start making compost with it. So that way you can get your own soil, that black gold that they talk about that will be so valuable when you're growing your own food. Now, section 6. Adding fishing as a survival skill. This is something I'm having to learn myself. Now, gardening is powerful, very much so, but it shouldn't be your only food source. And learning how to fish is another valuable skill. My dad, he used to take me and my sisters and my brother fishing sometimes, and I thought it was the most boring thing, like snooze fest. I was like, why are we here? It's taking forever to get a fish. It's not that big of a deal. But now as an adult, I'm realizing that fishing is definitely a skill you would want to learn how to do because fish, it provides protein. Fishing is independent from stores and it's a renewable food source. And it pairs well with gardening. It gives you a balance in your food supply. So I know in some places now you need fishing license. Look into that in your state and find out what's necessary. What do you need to fish so that way you can have it now. Now, section 7, community and bartering. Now, during hard times, no matter what people think, no one survives alone. You can say, I can do it by myself. I got all the things I need. I'm going to have food. I'm going to have tools, whatever. But what if you fall down the stairs? What if you need medical assistance? We can't survive alone. So in the past, people didn't just grow food. They traded it. And bartering, it becomes powerful when money is tight or supplies is limited. That saying that goes that, see if your neighbor has a cup of sugar. When I was talking to my grandmother some years ago before she passed on, she would tell me about the Great Depression, and I would have all these questions about what happened, and she told me about the Victory Gardens and borrowing sugar. It came from the Great Depression because people had to rely on one another. So we have to learn that same thing because You might want to trade vegetable for eggs, herbs for flowers, skills for resources. Strong communities, it creates resilience. And that's why it's important to build relationships now, not just during a crisis. So get to know your neighbors, get to know who's around you. Now, section 8, strengthen family and teaching skills. Now, gardening, it's also a great way to survive, but it's a great way to strengthen family bonds and spend quality time with your family, teaching children skills. And you can teach your children how to plant, how to water it, how to harvest. And it's something to see your child, or your child sees the process from a seed to harvesting what they grew. So we have to teach our children that. Make it a part of your routine, because skills passed down in a home become survival skills for the future. So start practicing now. And everything I talked on today, this is key. Don't wait for a crisis to start gardening. Start small. Learn through your mistakes. Build confidence over time, because when shortages happen, there won't be time to figure it out. Preparedness always starts before the need. Remember that. So gardening isn't just about food. It's about independence. It's about discipline. It's about being able to provide no matter what's happening around you. Because just like in the Great Depression, the people that knew how to grow food were the ones that survived. So if you like this video, I hope you like, subscribe, and share. Pass it on to someone you know. Have your children listen to it, because we all have to learn together. And if you have any tips, feel free to put it in the comment below. So as always, this is a Modest Prepper reminding you to take care, stay grateful, and prep with intention.